First off, I'd like to wish a very happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there this weekend. The Torah portion for tonight is entitled Emor, which means speak. The Parshat begins, and the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the priests, the Kohanim, sons of Aaron, and say to them." The rabbis and the sages pondered why the Torah uses the same verb, emor, to speak or to say, not once, but twice in this opening verse. According to Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch, the word kohen is related to the Hebrew word kivun, which means direction. In other words, God wanted the priests, or the kohen, to provide direction and function as role models for the rest of Israel. The repetition of the word emor, then, suggests that the Torah teachers shouldn't simply tell people what to do or believe, but rather, they should both tell and demonstrate the Torah's truth. When teaching, speak twice, once to explain the mitzvot or commandments, and a second time to ignite a passion to live according to the truth. This is what I learned on the internet when preparing for tonight's Dvar Torah. Now, to put emor in my own words, if you're going to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. What does this mean in our daily lives? Among other things, it means that if you see something in your domain or in your world that is wrong or unjust, you have a duty to speak out against it. When our neighboring state of Indiana passed a law several weeks ago under the guise of so-called religious freedom, which allowed companies to assert their religious rights and allowed them to discriminate against gays and possibly Jews, many people spoke out. The governors of the states of New York, Connecticut, and Washington, and the mayors of the cities of San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. imposed bans on state-funded travel to Indiana. Conference organizers such as Gen Con, the largest gaming convention in the country, abandoned their plans to expand into Indiana. And concerts, such as by the rock band Wilco, were canceled. This outcry caused the Indiana legislature to cut back on this law. 38 women so far have spoken out against Bill Cosby. How many women have not spoken out? And if some of those 38 women have spoken out sooner, would that number be so high? When our temple planned a youth group trip to Belize, a country which has a statute making it a felony for a homosexual to visit the country, I contacted the president of our temple, Ken Lorch, to inform him of this law and to register my objections with our temple in supporting this country. And recently, when my college fraternity, of which I was very proud to be a member, was in the national spotlight for the second time in about a year, this time for a video on YouTube showing members of the fraternity shouting a racist chant, I needed to speak out. 2 weeks ago, I marched down to my fraternity's headquarters, which is located in Evanston. I sat down in the executive director's office, and I told him I was embarrassed and ashamed to be a member of the fraternity, and I demanded to know what was being done about it. So when you see something in your life that is wrong or unjust, you can't just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk, and you must speak out against it. This is what I prepared and what I wrote down last weekend, but I have a postscript. As I was lying in bed last night with my wife, Lori, I can say that here, right? She showed me the cover of our local paper dated yesterday, May 7th. The cover story features a panel hosted by our temple, where Senator Dick Durbin and Archbishop Cupich urged support of pending immigration reform legislation. What did the headline for this story on the cover of the paper say? Time to speak out. Coincidence or emor?